So I would first like to introduce the Suzanne Fiol Curatorial Fellow, Benedict Nguyen, for 2019. Yay! Benedict is a writer, dancer, and arts advocate. And I've actually met Benedict here. And now Benedict and I consider Benedict one of my closest friends. And so it's a really special event for that reason, but also because for as long as I've known Benedict and for as long as we've been talking about arts and process, their focus on process and dynamics of process and then shifts of power have been really, oh gosh, what's the word for it? It's been making my brain move in different ways, and which I really appreciate. So I can't wait for y'all to see what they have curated here. So without further ado, Benedict Nguyen.
Can I remove? No, I should just leave it. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and making the time and choosing to sit in this room on this rainy, fun evening day. Yeah, we're going to keep this speeding along. So just some quick background on the fellowship and on Issue. Issue Project Room is an arts organization in downtown Brooklyn, founded by Suzanne Fiol. And they support a curator each year to investigate, experiment with new kinds of things. And so for my platform, Soft Bodies and Hard Places, I've been interested in time. We're starting at 6:57 in case anyone was curious. What does that mean? I don't know. Time as in the summer solstice this Friday. Place, discipline. And yeah, I'm a dancer, I write things, and have always been interested in how those forms as discretely separated in their boxes are always, or have been in conversation with each other for a long time. And so this project has been, yeah, a long time in the visioning room. So yeah. So for this project, I proposed collaborations between a dance maker and a poet and another dance maker and a poet, as well as with continued support in terms of understanding the astrology of this process, this time, and commissioned a piece of writing. And so we'll hear from everyone who's been participating, contributing to this fun time. So first up, we'll hear from Fana Fraser and Jasmine Gibson, and I'll let them divine artist humans, and I'll let them tell you about themselves.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Fana Fraser.
I'm Jasmine Gibson.
And together we're fine. Jasmine, I don't know. My name is Vana. I am a dancer, a performance maker, a performer. And through this project, it's been exciting to have the opportunity to kind of practice more the things that I enjoy doing, doodling, drawing, and writing, and collaborating.
Through this project, I was able to kind of combat my fears of movement, which I told Benedict and Vana straight from the get-go, where I was like, I don't know how to move. I don't know how that works. So it's just really nice having a really enriching, fruitful collaboration, and to be especially collaborating with you. So
Yeah,
that's really nice. Yeah.
Same. So what happens next is I will read something that I've written.
Unless you want me to read
Yes.
something. Okay. I'll go first.
Yes.
Changing with the waxing phases of Pluto, bodies bend to the alphabet letters on the fridge, blood to cell, cell to blood, Bone meets me here, stone meets me where I cannot see you, seen in the flesh upon stone upon you. I cannot count the last time that embodied this dexterity. Stone meets fat, meets years of waste on laboring time, and how I've had nothing but time to sing myself into the hymn of this historical moment. When the moon changes, I bleed into the office walls of appreciation. Unequal desires begets unequal wages. It creates a train that follows me home, and I don't want to bring it home.
Palpitating, moving through discomfort, unease, pause. Exhale, bounce, roll, twist. Squeeze, shorten, expand, inhale. Exhale, boil your blood, rinse your gut. Nourish nerves, heart, kidneys, ovaries, bones. Then, balancing, standing on 2 feet, or 4, or 1, or 3, or 5, or floating, or spinning, spinning, spinning. Exhale. While opening, pause, eyes, mouth, pussy, anus, experience heat, skin tingling, longing, saliva churning, begging, flesh aching, swallowing, howling, then exhaling, coming and roaring and flooding, cooing and humming. Pause. Tears simmering, remembering. Remembering. Where am I now? Wandering. When should we meet again? Listening. How do I respond to what you're asking? Wondering how to be together truly.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our next pair that we'll be hearing from are Annie Heath and Sokunthary Svay, and they'll tell you about themselves. Yeah.
Jamrip Sur, hi, my name is Sokunthary Svay, and I'm the poet in this duo.
Hi, I'm Annie Heath, and I am the dancer, performer, mover, I guess. Are we giving small intros? Yeah, okay. So, I'm a dancer, performer, mover. I primarily worked mostly with other friends and people that I'm collaborating with. But as of kind of earlier this year, end of last year, I've been really trying to focus on solo experiments and in general just working with stories that are a little bit more personal to myself.
I have a background as a classical musician in flute and in voice, but I write primarily now in academic, creative. I have an opera that is going to be premiered at the Kennedy Center in January. I have a book of poetry out that's being sold in the back. Buy it. Yeah.
I guess we're just gonna, Sok is gonna share a poem that she assembled, and it is a collection of random thoughts that I just sent to her and made her do something with.
It was really quite beautiful. It was many journal entries, and I'm really into, this is really bothering me. I'm really into found poetry lately. And I think there are just so many beautiful nuggets that can be found. And I was working with Kimiko Han. We were at the bar, and she had ripped out some pages from a book, which, obviously is atrocious as someone who likes books. But we started highlighting at the bar, like just random phrases. And then suddenly things started to come together and it became like a poem. And that's kind of how I felt about your entries. And so I just started highlighting some of the words and things relating to our project, which is called This Motherland Fabric. So it's called Soft Landing, a textual collaboration between us. Yeah. A belly expands and protrudes, pushing out resting fabric, trying to give more, I take in more air, so hoping to grasp. Beat myself into the ground, into unforgiving cement. No amount of stretch can alleviate panic in open space. What makes me love myself more? Feeling the cold wood floor, warm with my heat. I give myself love. Think it means harsh criticism, endless physical effort, be ruthless to myself. Let me nurture my brutality. How can I lose myself more? I wonder how people search for something inaccessible, how to rip open a coarse wall into the quiet black. Going back through an archived mind filled with shelves, empty pages, I wonder about capacity, that cavity that needs filling. It's easy to pick at your face. Leaving skin on the ground, it's satisfying to watch your insides come out. My resting face is empty. The skin between one nostril connected to form a soft landing spot, mouth magically sewed together. Lipstick is hard to wear. I don't wear lipstick anymore. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Next, we'll be hearing a little ditty from longtime collaborator, writer, writing partner, astrology person. We have feelings about the word astrologer. It's fine. Stephanie George.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Oh, this is such a warm room. All right. So my name is Stephanie George. I am a storyteller, a fundraiser, and I think by way of this project, I'm doing astrology. And yeah, I think I really come to this with so much joy. I love, love, love the many brilliant and exciting artists that I get to work with. And I tell people that I actually became a poet because of astrology, or maybe at the same exact point. So yeah, this is the joy of my life. All right. So I'm gonna read a little bit of my love notes. I'm all about love notes. They really help me to center myself. I think that love is it. It's the thing. It's God's presence in the room. It's everything. So what's better? What is poetry if not a love note, right? Many summers ago, resting on the beach under the sun's rays, a friend of mine noticed something that still resonates with me today. It dawned on her as we basked in the sun's warmth, why our earliest ancestors would choose to worship the sun. Light after darkness reminds us that anything is possible. Every single day without fail, the sun rises and sets. It's a promise that only grows. So imagine a day when the sun outlasts, outpaces, outshines the moon. The wonder, the magic, the possibility. Now imagine the opposite. The day when no sun rises, and you work and wake without even a glimmer of light. This is what brings us here today. The solstice, borrowed from the Latin roots sol and sit, meaning sun standing still, a dance of lights on the longest and shortest days of the year. A reminder that we have the power to make our own myths and rituals, whether or not the gods shine down on us. So in the first part of this series, Soft Bodies, Hard Places, Benedict worked around the revolutionary new moon in Aquarius. And one of the things that really kind of struck me about the astrology of that night was that it was really, really hard. Like, thinking about being in the basement, thinking about winter, thinking about the ways in which winter is really kind of insidious. It creeps, and I thought that was such a great kind of moment for us to reflect on what kinds of things happen in the dark, the kinds of healing that happen there, but also the kind of growth and the ways that we learn how to navigate warmth. But I really kind of thought about Michelle Obama's memoir, and whatever opinions we have about the Obamas and their impact. There's a scene in the book where she talks about Chicago winters, and she says that the Chicago winters were so brutal that when the summers came along, her mom, every winter, after winter, every summer, she would think about leaving her father. but the winters were so cold that they made people band together. She would never imagine that. But when the summer came, riding on the wings of summer, there was a lightness, there was a freedom. And so kind of moving forward with that, I hope that the astrology of summer and the possibilities and the magic of summer leave us with a kind of new perspective on it. Because I don't think that the astrology of this evening is any less challenging. But I think it's what the light reminds us about our potential to cultivate tenderness. I think to cultivate the things that really make us feel human. And so from the doors of the basement to the temple on the mountaintop, this summer solstice asks us about our relationship to the ancient, to the primordial, to the yet to be revealed. The mumbling that predates poetic sensibilities, the gesturing that births movements, the feelings of joy that foretell celebration. We are here to bask in sweet summer, in the fullness of it, the cool nights swelling with hope and the mornings ripe with sun-kissed daydreams. Always haunted that in one sweltering swing, that same sun, blazing, can blister and burn. So for this summer solstice, I ask you, what are your rituals to honor the sun of your life? What are the places in your life worthy of worship and tenderness? Thank you.
Hello again. Yeah, and I think now we all cram on the couch, the green couch, or make an attempt at doing that. And yeah, while we're transitioning up there and maybe cramming a chair, I just wanted to give a huge thanks. It's not. While this fun transition is happening, we're doing great. Shout out to Tiffany, shout out to the AWW staff for supporting us. And also a huge thanks to Sophia Hussein, who Sophia and Tiffany were instrumental in the early visioning of this project. And to catch more of this text, full performances of what these incredible artists have been working on for the past few months, I invite y'all to come to Issue Project Room this Friday at 8 p.m. There are postcards in the back. There's a discount code that I'll share after we finish chatting, but I think we're here and let's chat. How are we feeling?
Good.
Good.
Is this on? Yeah.
Now that we've gotten the small talk question out of the way, here's a slightly less small talky question. Maybe we can popcorn, like, what have folks been reading? What have folks been watching? What have folks been listening to lately? Feel free to just shout stuff out.
I've been telling everybody this, I'm watching Call the Midwife, because it popped up on my Netflix. And so it's been like the past week, I've just been watching a lot of childbirth. I mean, a lot, women screaming and giving birth and seeing, the afterbirth placenta and then the umbilical cord, which is actually quite relevant to what we're doing. We're sort of birthing a project, but there's not actual, legs on display like that. But no, it's just the connection between the child and the mother and then that umbilical cord. And we've got fabric going on in our project. So like every time I get together with her, one, I don't know what's happening, which is like, it's really unsettling for me. I'm not good with the unknown, at least within a new project. And the second is like, I keep seeing babies and I keep seeing umbilical cords. And so yeah, that's really influencing me right now.
I guess prior to this project, I felt like I was doing a lot of research, or I was reading a lot of books by a lot of Asian American writers or Asian writers. Me being adopted, I was starting to fumble with how I want to connect to culture, because it was definitely something I just kind of avoided, or it was fine. It was what it was. So I started doing a lot of readings, mostly by Japanese writers, which I'm Korean, so it was weird to connect to a culture or try to connect to a culture that isn't your own and isn't in theory even supposed to be your own. But then once we started the project, I'm not a reader, so I kind of fell off that track. But I found a really great project called Side by Side, and it's this guy who goes around all over the US and the world and videoing other adoptees, specifically South Korean adoptees, spanning from like probably the 60s or the 70s up until now. And it talks about, or they talk about either experiences of being adopted or what it means to age out of essentially like an orphanage. So you get those two stories of what, and it kind of fills a little bit more of a picture of what would happen if I stayed, or like what is the possibility of something that you can only just imagine. So that's mostly what I've been reading and listening to.
I've been having a really difficult time reading. I used to read a lot. And I think Instagram has destroyed my brain in that way. So I recently picked up, again, I read Breath, Eyes, Memory by Edwidge Danticat a long time ago in my teens. And I was like, oh, it came to me one night when I was on the train, actually after a performance. Those words came to me and said, let me pick this book back up. So I picked it up. And I'm about 3/4 way through, and I haven't picked it up, like continued reading it. But I think that I have been trying to get out or express. I'm just like, oh, express milk, express. Word association. Express. Express. With this vocal limb, a little bit more than I've been trying to like intake. I feel like I'm at a place where I'm completely saturated on all fronts. And working with my voice in lots of different ways, in performance, with Jasmine, in this project, with other projects that I'm involved in my life, in my relationships, just kind of. Actually, I recently began rereading my journals, so that's what I've been reading. Yeah.
I've been recently reading like old, kind of gay and queer communist writers. Like, so I'm a part of this gay communism journal called Invert. Why am I saying Invert? That's my other friend's project. Sorry. That's based in the UK. It's called Pinko. We just had our first scene, and I was just looking at this one piece by Marsha P. Johnson and some of the other STAR activists. STAR was a street transvestite action, it's something revolutionary action. And it was just really cool, and like rereading like stuff by Kawasi Balagoon and trying to work my way through To Joy My Freedom by Tara Hunter, because it's really cool just thinking about the lives of like Black women, like in the ways of like how people, particularly like Black women, have navigated their relationship to bondage and capital, and how there's always kind of this room for like resistance, and it's kind of cool like thinking about that in terms of like historical lineage of like how those things are often smoothed away and like universalized of like, wow, the only option to be Black in the world is to suffer, and that there's other ways of like rereading all this history is like that there's other options of joy and resistance, and that they're not contentious with each other, and that's really cool. What I've been listening to, I love listening to music all the time. I've been obsessively singing Fana music, where I'm like, this might be a little weird, but I think you might like it. So actually today, me and Fana were listening to Funkadelic's Maggot Brain, and I love that record so much. So I just like every chance I get to listen to it, I'll listen to it. And my partner, John, actually told me about this really cool snippet about the title track, where George Clinton had actually said to the guitarist, his name is Eddie something, and he had said to him like while they were in a LSD trip, and was like, play as if your mother, you were told, sorry, Gemini season. You were told that your mother had died and she actually wasn't dead. So I'm kind of like going through that kind of thought process of like, wow, what if this was a situation where you were told that like something was real and it wasn't, and you're like, oh my God.
That's interesting to me, because this is now the second time that you've said that.
Yeah.
And I had that dream with my mom, and this morning.
And your mom was mad at you.
I'm like, I'm going really fast in my brain right now. So
if you don't know, me and Fana kind of have developed twin speak with each other now.
Yes, we have. So last night I had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up this morning, actually, and I had this dream that my mom and I were, I don't know, on some beach, and we looked up and the sky was ice. It was like, the clouds turned to like ice. And then there was a crack, and then began falling as ice, like hail. And I was like, oh no, we gotta get out of this. And and then there was a tsunami, right? And then a tsunami came, and then we were, because my mom and I both swim really well, and she was swimming, and she was like, I was like, Mommy, no, don't swim. We can walk to the side and hold on to the rail. And she said, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Wait, there was a rail in the
there
water?
was a rail on the side. And we were like, oh, we'll get out this way. Yes. And so that's how we got out of that situation. And then
Maybe you were on Jupiter. Like a moon on Jupiter.
That sounds right.
It's like Ia's ice moon.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like got water underneath it.
Oh, wow.
With all that ice
Yeah.
atmosphere. It can't go out. Like, they can't have an atmosphere because every time the water goes, it freezes by space.
That's what happened. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Well. Cool.
Wow. That's amazing. How do I follow that? I'm usually an avid reader, but I started school, so now I've just been doing things for school, and it actually relates in unexpected ways, because I think with this, I tried really hard to write about the softness, and then, but when by the way, I've researched you all. And when I looked at your work, it really drew attention to kind of the brutality of bodies and the juxtaposition between being a vulnerable entity and kind of giving and receiving in the world. And at school, I've been looking at a lot of maps about bomb debris. And so, like connections. I wish I had dreams about Jupiter.
Yeah. Because there's things like shrapnel.
But we're okay. Like everything's fine.
Yeah. So I think I've been reading 2 essays that I just happened to bring with me today. Poetry is Not a Luxury by Audrey, and then A Knowing So Deep by Toni Morrison. But it's really kind of wonderful how they both manage to say similar things. And and never, I think, just coincidentally wonderful, but I think they're writing that same kind of wavelength. And so if you haven't read those essays, I strongly, strongly suggest them, especially if you're someone who is like traversing between the not yet named and the inarticulable and the yet to be real. I'm listening to Prince. I really, really miss Prince like every single day. And then I'm also listening to Kirk Franklin's new album. Yeah. It is his most stripped down work. I mean, I've never seen Kirk Franklin in this form. It's brassy. It's folksy. It's simple. It's I don't know, and I don't know who's into gospel music here, but he's probably like the Diddy of gospel music, but better, and plays more instruments, and so I've been interested in his journey, and because I think that these worlds can meld. They're not in conflict. They're in sisterhood. So yeah, for me, I'm just always interested to where the craft and what the state of the world is pushing people to do in their art. And so I love the simplicity of it. It was electrifying and reminds you of your grandma, but also of the future. So it's good stuff.
Can I say a funny tweet by Kirk Franklin? I think it was during the Mike Brown protests, which, not funny. But it was this moment that happened on Twitter between a Twitter person and Kirk Franklin, where they were like, Kirk Franklin, are you a top or a bottom? And he responded saying, with blood still wet on the streets, this is what you pull from your heart to ask me. And it's just something where it was like, wow, that response was just so poetic, even though it was kind of also funny, the exchange back and forth. And then I think someone had said, just answer the question, Kirk. I just have to share that. Because you brought up Kirk Franklin. I never get to talk about Kirk Franklin because no one knows.
Wait a second. Wait a second. I sang Kirk Franklin in high school in a contemporary gospel choir. It's like the last thing you ever expected to be. Did he do that song, Jesus Never Fails? Jesus, he never fails. I know my Jesus. And it's because and it starts out. It actually I guess it is. Maybe he is the Diddy of gospel because uses like a Bach piece like. And it goes into like Jesus never fails, and it's like whoa.
He
so
also
anyway,
did that song Stomp. Yeah, love that song.
I heard that in the club one time.
You could definitely play that in the club. Wow, it's an amazing song, a banger. He had every gospel song for like every summer of the 2000s.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Steady, like Kirk Franklin hit us up.
That's the outro to this event.
oh my God, nice.
That was my only request.
I love all these linkages, these overlaps, these coincidences. Some of them feel supernatural, but I'm also interested in the work of collaboration and of building an artistic relationship. And yeah, if y'all want to talk about how you might, quote unquote, how you thought to approach this project and how that manifested.
How I was approached was that actually Tiffany introduced me to you, and it was a really nice introduction. Thank you, Tiffany. And yeah, I was like traveling at the time. I was in London, and when I got the email, I was like, can I really do this? Because I saw the email and it said movement dance, and I was like, I think you got the wrong person. And I don't even know, I think I might have wait, no, I didn't say that to you. I didn't say, did you send this to the wrong person? But I just was like, am I prepared for something like this? It was super daunting for me because I've never done something with movement, and it's something where approaching this project, I was like, okay, I think I want to challenge myself in this way and overcome that kind of fear and then also, you know, grow in a different kind of way. So that's why I wanted to do this.
I can say that I was talking to Benedict at a cafe somewhere, and I think I was talking specifically about my last solo project that I was presenting back in April, and talking about how, yeah, I've been writing a lot, I've been trying to read a lot, I've been like doing my homework and trying to do my research, and then basically summarizing the conversation with, yeah, but I don't think that like writing for me in dance, or like writing and dance really go, or like text and dance, like I still don't know how I feel about it. And then like immediately after, you're like, oh, okay, well, I wanted to ask you about this project. But then, you know, having that offer, I was immediately like, well, in my head, I was like, well, why wouldn't I try something that I really actually feel pretty like strongly against? And I think I still wonder if I believe that performance and words, and specifically dance and words, I'm still battling with if I like it aesthetically. But I think the process of it, the process of it is wonderful though. It opens so many other channels of communication, and the collaboration is just so different, which I appreciate. It makes me have to push to try things, because we were talking that Sok doesn't want to try, or like you want to try things, but it's the action of actually doing it and doing it in space and practicing. And, you know, for me, I'm kind of a little laissez-faire about all the process of doing as well. So it made me motivate myself to actually be a little bit more assertive and help guide the process in terms of creating a work. But I think for collaboration, it was really nice, like talking about our experiences, which are so different, but finding someone that I can connect with, and the themes and the feelings of how our experiences played out in a way were very similar, which I found very interesting.
God, I feel like we can go on, but just very briefly how I got here. It was I was in class with John, who's Jasmine's partner, and I received an email from Benedict, and that was also the same class where we were reading this work called it was like a book of exercises for dance, for people to incorporate movement into the creativity, and it was by an organization called iLanding. And so I was thinking, wow, that's really incredible, you know, to take the words off the page and try to do something with our bodies within a space, rather than just like, you know, us sitting there or us dancing, but rather thinking about the space like as energy as a whole, and how can we be part of it, right? And then I was when I met up with Benedict, I was like, yeah, we're looking at iLanding. He's like, oh, well, I'm the administrator for iLanding. I was like,
Side hustle.
sorry,
Love you, Jennifer.
That was super cosmic when that happened. And then I mentioned it in class while John was there. And then John's like, oh, my partner's a part of it. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like, this is like really... So things were kind of coming together. And then when we met up, I was like, fuck we gonna do? Like, I just don't know. I think we spent so many hours just talking. I think that's the thing. The talking was so important. And then it was like writing. We wrote each other. We, you know, tossed a few things back and forth. And then I know that I gave him my book, my poetry, which is on sale back there again. And I was thinking about themes. And for me, like my postpartum depression, being a mom, and Cambodian came up. And then she sent me some personal documents, including, I hope you don't mind me saying this, her adoption documents. And so I have documents from when my family had applied as refugees to resettle here. So I'm really fascinated by institutional documents and how you're trying to describe human beings and through these facts, through these details, and somehow this is supposed to encompass who they are, right? And in my book, I actually stripped some of the words from that document The poem is called No Others, and it's listing all the dead family members or missing family members in my family. So I was looking at the words describing her, and I was really struck by it. It's just such a, these are such powerful papers that these buildings and these bodies or try to describe our bodies, right? And so as we get closer to this performance, I find myself thinking more about, you mentioned capitalism, I'm thinking about the labor of a woman's body. My mom cleaned hotel rooms for over 20 years. So she was, her uniform, her smile is a uniform, even the way that she has to present herself, her affect, she would perform for me too. She's like, oh, I had to be nice to the hotel guy. I say, hi, how are you? Like that. And it's just like, and then, just as quickly she can take that uniform of her face off and be like, oh my God, they're so cheap. So I was thinking, and so we have fabric, and I think about we're going to be wearing sarongs. That's the Southeast Asian wrap that you wrap around your waist. And so it's becoming this thing about fabric, who wears it, under what institutions, under what conditions, the practice of putting on our bodies, the heaviness of it. So we just totally went on this big metaphor of fabric and sarong and the woman's body. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. How it looks, you can tell us.
I think that I'm at a place right now where I'm trying to slow down a lot, and trying to really see and feel and listen to where I'm at and what I'm needing to do, what to do next, pretty much. In my own performance work, voice has been erupting more and more in fragments. And over the past few years, I've been using my voice, my speaking voice, more diligently. One, 'cause my job. I work at Ailey 2, Alvin Ailey, as the rehearsal director, so I'm spending a lot of time observing dancers all day long, and then having to respond to them, to respond to what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, and writing and speaking to them. And yeah, so I think this process feels like a natural feels natural. It feels natural to be in this process. When I feel like Benedict approached me several months ago. I don't even really remember, honestly. But yeah, when Jasmine and I met, it was just so natural. And I was like, of course, this would be us doing us,
I think we had said multiple times, do you think Benedict knows?
Yeah.
Do you think Benedict knows? And yeah, because the first time we met, we just went for drinks and food. And it was really relaxed. Even the first time we danced, we went for 2 hours.
Yeah.
With 1 5-minute break, and then went back in. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that we were talking about this early on the way here. Just less reveals more. Just kind of. Having the schedule, we should do this, it's not gonna happen, it's really not, because that's just not where we're at. And just kind of really using this space, this time to feel into where we're at, and okay, what should we do next? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. What do you think? Yeah, great, this feels good. Let's keep going. You tired? Let's take a break. All right, we'll take a break. So it's just, and so the piece now that we're landed today on a place to begin, which feels great. But it feels like we had the end at the beginning, but now we're back at the beginning, like for real. Maybe after Wednesday it will change again, most probably, but.
Yeah, it's been like a super easy, relaxed process. It's not really like do this, do that, do that, do this, do this. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, I forgot this. Or it's just like it starts off really slow. Like, okay, how was your day? Like, you know what's going on. Then it's like, okay, I think I actually can do this, and like move into the space and feel it out. And then like as soon as it's over, you're like, wait, like. Even when we were like coming over here, like we had spent like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, like just figuring out like the world that we wanted to create to be in. And then it was like we just started moving, and then we were like, no,
we have to stop. It was like we gotta leave. We gotta leave.
No practicing. So
yeah. It's been nice to feel like we're really at a true ground zero of like beginning something with someone. Yeah, the same thing. It's like, does Benedict know that this is a good match? Like it's like for real a good match. Like
good curator.
Yes, well
it
done.
It does feel like kismet. Almost.
Yes, yeah.
It keeps coming up as a theme. You know, Benedict had invited me out to see Annie dance, but I didn't know what Annie looked like. But I saw the last name Heath, and I thought you were white. I'm sorry. And I was like, that's Annie? Like, yeah. I was like, oh, thank God, she's Asian. I just felt like I'm probably gonna be very raw, and I didn't want to have to explain myself. You know, there's a certain kind of performativity that's required when I go into spaces that are not of color, and so even with like how vastly different your experience is as an adoptee and your questions about belonging and culture, I still felt like okay, we still experience a lot of the same things that we go through in our day because of the way that we came out of our parents' bodies, and like totally forgot what else I was going to say because I was just like really struck. I now remember. I am feeling like there's so much incubation that was happening. I think through the conversations, that it was really like what worked one day or what we were figuring out. It was like, okay, let's leave it for that. Let's talk a bit. Let's write a bit. I mean, how do you have a how do you try to form something when you're both from different forms of expression? So it was just, I think, I had no idea. Again, like I was saying in the beginning, I feel really we had a round table, and we missed you, Jasmine. And I said, I feel unsettled. I don't like not knowing. I like people giving me structure, or rather, I like people telling me what I can't do, because then I know how to work around it. And I think it's because like it was my parents, my parents' trauma, and anytime I go into an institution where I feel like I'm powerless, and so I have to figure out like a loophole. So for me, I've always envisioned my life as just this big, long hustle. Like I got into a PhD program, and I feel like that's just the continuation of the hustle. It was like, okay, this is what works right now, and I can get health insurance. And I'm also actually quite good at this writing thing. So, and it's just how can I make this work for me is how it felt. But when we got together, it was just like there's this huge space, beautiful space with tall ceilings, and I'm like, I don't know how to use this. Not my body. I mean, we can dance like at a club or something. But and then like I saw her dance, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so corny. It's gonna be she dances, I say some words. I mean, I know that you and I each had like formulated in our heads like ideas what we thought it was going to look like based on like I thought it was gonna be like she dances something really cool. It looks kind of like ballet-ish, freeform, and then I say words over it. I was like, that's what happens, right? And I don't know what you thought, But then it became more concrete as the days went on, and we started having more conversations. It was really all about the conversations, because yeah, we were not trying to do this. Like, I think if anything, this whole process was the antithesis to any other artistic process I've ever had to go through, because Benedict said, just do whatever. I mean, how many times in your life have you ever been given that opportunity and paid to do it? Like that's just such a rare and beautiful thing. But I'm not good at that. I need people to tell me what my limits are, so then I can push and work around them, or be like, I don't like you, so I'm gonna do this instead. I'm rebellious by nature. My entire childhood was about rebelling against my parents by being a musician. And instead, Benedict was like giving us love and saying, do it and honor it. But what the hell do you want to express? So that's terrifying. I've never been given that openness.
And I think to piggyback off of that, it's like I'm so grateful that I was working with someone who works with words all the time, because I feel like I write constantly, and whether it's just annotated notes or whatever, but my mind usually goes more into like a scientific paper realm. So it was so helpful to have someone look at everything and just pull it all apart and put it together in a way that feels so articulate, even though I didn't directly say it. But yeah, I think it is kind of crazy working with words and movement. Like, it does feel like it starts off so corny at first, and everything you imagine in your mind, you're like, wow, I already hate it. I already hate it. This is like the worst thing. I'm not inviting anyone. But having the materials in the space was like the biggest hurdle, of like just physically having what we wanted to work with, because otherwise it was just all conceived in our minds. But yeah.
It's so funny because you were like, I'm not a writer, and she likes me like pages and pages of writing, and so much of it was good, and that's where that poem came out, because I was just like, ooh, like you talk about, nurturing your brutality. It's like, oh, and then and then I'm listening to your poems, like all the words in your poems, like so much of it was like verbs and action. And just actually dictating of actions, things to do with the body. So, I mean, just the body is evident everywhere in all the words that were coming out. And then also, like, the effect that has on our own body as we're reading it. Because for me, as a writer, that's my goal. I want you to feel something in some part of your body, particularly in the core. I mean, because that's where so much of the beauty and the sickness and, the hurt happens, right?
Thank you. I'm also curious to hear from Stephanie and Jean how like y'all's relationships to this project plays into that. Like, Stephanie, how is astrology useful for artists, or what do you hope to bring to artists with your work around it? And Jean, how do you write about process? How do you write about artists' work? And yeah.
So I feel like I got the best kind of seat to everyone's work. So as part of the work that I've been doing, I've been meeting one-on-one with all of the artists, and we kind of just dive into their natal charts. And so each reading is kind of like specifically tailored around what any of y'all wanted to talk about. But we spent some time talking about artistry. And so I think, the question is, how can astrology help artists? Support artists?
What do you hope?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, and as I mentioned earlier, like, it wasn't until I got my first kind of natal chart reading that I was like, oh my God, she sees me. Like, I am a poet, I'm a writer, blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't believe it, But I think that when I was sitting down with my astrologer, the way that she was speaking to just the core of who I was, I couldn't deny it. I couldn't run from it, I was really under the light of my own possibility, and I had a choice. Either I step into it or I die. And so I think I was really just kind of struck by, the courage that it takes to kind of be like, okay, talk to me about myself, you know? So I think that any time anyone comes to me, it's just like, I understand that you are entrusting me with your heart, but also the heart that you have not yet put words to, which is in a lot of ways poetry. So I think that just really being able to kind of like listen. I think that's really what my role is in this project. I was just affirming all of the things that you all already knew about yourselves, the visions that you had for your life. And I think art is just a reflection of how we're kind of moving through the world and seeing it. And astrology is just the kind of symbols and iconography of that. So I think that astrology has so much to offer artists, but I think art has a lot more to teach astrology. And I think that's what I try to do in my work, right? Instead of just figuring out a way to say it, I really kind of like, at least for the second part of this project, like even finding a poem that went really well with each of the artists. Like each person got a poem, and I think Annie got a Bible verse. But I think that there are so many ways that we can express things, and I think sometimes it's really just a line that says more to what we know to be true than it is like me sitting down and telling you how this aspect connects with that and what your Gemini moon might mean. So I really just saw myself as a listener, and I think you all were so generous with yourselves, and we're really kind of thinking through such big and exciting things that it really just, it humbled me, it honored me. And yeah, it really makes me excited. I think that what I hope to do with my work is to say that there is a space that is both high and low art, whatever that means. But it can really be all of the things that we need it to be, and it's really more adaptable than we've allowed it to be. And I know that it is a kind of pop cultural moment where we are so attuned to what these symbols mean in a way that probably has not existed like this before. But it's just, yeah, it's super exciting to me. And I think that we artists, particularly us freelancers, we have a huge stake in this that is uncharted. So, yeah.
I keep hitting you with the frond. I feel like my role is the observer and the listener, and my presence has been fragmented, and so I realize that too is a part of the process. I know this might be uncomfortable, but I have looked at all of your work, and this right now I feel so comfortable, and there's such symbiosis. And when I looked at all of your work, there were such profound similarities in like the thematic elements and what you chose to draw attention to, and I kind of wondered like how these people were paired, because it is like magic, and then sitting here it's like magic. And so I feel like the way I'm writing about it is kind of from a bird's eye view, but then diving in and out. Like the first meeting we had, I remember you really wanted to meet her. And you talked about that, like that chair, that empty chair. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And now it's...
He read one of your poems.
Oh, it was amazing.
Jasmine couldn't make the first meeting that we all had together.
It was amazing. But now, like when you got on the stage, you hugged, and there's such like apparent, like you just fit together. And so I feel like jumping from that view to that view, and then seeing the dance on Friday, like I'm just so excited for it to be that observer. Sorry. You knew.
I think we'll move towards like a light closing-ish question before a quick Q&A. Cool? Cool. So, Summer Solstice Friday. We all know where everyone will be at Issue Project Room at 8 p.m. No, that's not when the solstice itself, but that's part of everyone's rituals. That's the dictation. You're welcome. But yeah, besides Friday's performances, what vibes do you all have going on? What are you trying to manifest? What are you trying to feel, create, be?
I feel like I need to swim and think while I'm swimming and just like swim at the end of the day. I used to swim really early in the morning, but I don't think I can do that anymore. It's crazy. Yeah, I think swimming and thinking and like maybe writing some things down. I like swimming. It's just you can be by yourself, but with other people. And you can move and you can think and it feels good. And then it's like you can play at the end of your swim and then you can just keep it moving.
I think I need to take a break or just relax more. I feel like this month has been pretty intensive for me. Just with like all the holidays, all the family birthdays.
Happy belated birthday, Annie.
Thank you. But yeah, I think this summer I'm really interested in getting sun and sleeping in on the weekends, which is the first time I'll be able to do that in 3 years. Yeah, I'm excited to spend more time with my loved ones, spend more time with friends I never see. And then I want to restart something maybe in August, but I think I need a nice month clean break.
Good for you. This has been so intense, this collaboration, and I'm glad that I have just been able to focus on you. But when that's done, I have to go back to revising my libretto. The composer I'm working with, Lily Ugai, she's already finished composing the first scene, and it's just like taking my words, the libretto, and setting it to music, which is just, I cannot tell you just what an honor and how just so amazing it is when you write something and then somebody else sings it. I mean, it's just, to hear it come out of other people's mouths, and it's like, I did that, and I don't have to perform it. I just get to sit in the back and clap, clap for myself. But, I've already decided, I put it in the universe that I'm going to write a New York Times bestseller book. So, and it's gonna happen.
Everyone know.
I'm actually gonna, so I've decided to write, I guess I'm old enough to do this now, write a memoir about growing up in the Bronx and my failing at music school 3 times. And just, I want to give a different face to a different narrative for someone who grew up in the Bronx, but also someone who's Cambodian, where it's not all death and genocide and trauma. Because I don't know, I love to laugh, and I want to make people laugh. And my partner is friends with somebody who works, who is a literary agent at a company that also represents David Sedaris, whom I absolutely love. And it's just, all like memoir, like humor stuff. And, again, hustle. I'm trying to bank. So, I got to make that money.
Stephanie said this really cool thing to me during our reading, which made me cry. But it was like kind of the general theme of like kind of just, I don't know, just kind of giving myself space and like time, like mental space to be like, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be, and everything I want and I need, like, it will come to me. And it's like funny that I'm just kind of like, I feel like I'm at a space and time where I'm like, you know what, like, I really don't have to be out there like asking people to do whatever, because I feel like I don't know, I feel like protected in this way where like Essex Hemphill has like the saying where he used to sign off the messages saying, "Take care of your blessings." And that's kind of what I want to do this summer, where I want to take care of my blessings, because I feel like just every turn, like I've just received blessings, and I feel like I just need to stay on that path where I was brought into this project and I met Fana, and I don't know, I'm looking forward to our friendship this summer. I'm looking forward to swimming. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the rest of my life, like beginning, and it's really cool. I'm getting married, and that's cool. So I never thought I would get yes, clap. But it's like something where it's like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's something turning in my favor cosmically, and I'm just leaving myself open to receive that. So I think that that's what's happening. So I feel like less frantic. I just feel open. Like, yeah.
I just started grad school, so I'm going to do that. Wow. But this has been such a wonderful contrast to that, but also giving someone the ability to do anything, which Benedict did do, really forces you to think out of the box. And I am going into a field that is very much within a box, and there are certain sets of formulas of writing, and so kind of fighting against that and finding creative ways to do that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think I am. So I actually just got back from Ireland last week, and it was amazing for all of these many reasons. But I think it was the first time in a long time that I really kind of got to listen and listen to spirit in a way that I had not before. My life has been changing so rapidly. And for the first time in my life, I work in a 9-to-5 at an amazing place, Materials for the Arts. But the adjustment has been rough, you know. I think that I'm writing poetry with an urgency, and I think it's demanding more of my soul in a great way. And I think that the people around me are also pushing my astrological practice in new and exciting ways, you know. And I tell people this all the time, but most of the people that I get are word of mouth. I've actually never promoted or done anything of that. And I've had clients weeks back to back to back to back. And I say that just because I think that what everyone I think is alluding to is that sometimes we're being called in ways that don't yet make sense. And we really need to move past the paradigms of worthiness or deserving or even prepared or even I think we have to move past accreditation. We feel like if we have to prove that we are worthy of the things that are arriving to us. And I think the things that are arriving to us because in a real sense, it's our calling, you know? And I tell people all the time, I think just the fact that it has arrived in your mind means that it can be your destiny, and so I'm telling you all this, but it's really for me. And I think that, I'm really just trying to figure out a way to step into all of the possibilities that I know are available to me, and doing what I can within my power and within my my sphere of influence to really just remind people that that's it. Like, that's love. That's the joy of it all. And reminding myself that just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's not going to be worthwhile. And I know that's so simple, but like, you know, the struggle or the way that just going through the 9 to 5, going through the repetition of like, of the everyday makes us forget that there is magic. And so I think that like when you all are talking about the fact that this collaboration, what Benedict has put together, this vision, this dream, it's a reminder, I think, that I hope people will walk away from this with, that like magic isn't just something that arrives, but it's something that's curated. It's something that's cultivated and harnessed and prepackaged. And I think one of my favorite quotes is that we have to shower on inspiration. And so I think about all the ways that I hope that people walk away from this, showering on your inspiration, finding exactly what rituals and, you know, like not letting the worst of this get the best of us, and giving it our best fight. And maybe not with everything that we've got, but with what we know we have for sure. So yeah, that's what I'm manifesting.
Yeah. So, hi, sorry, that was that was its own little dance. Thank you to these incredible artists and for their work. I hope that y'all were able to take something, experience something, feel something from what they shared about their process. We're gonna do a quick Q&A.
Yeah, we have time for 2 questions from the audience.
Ooh.
If anyone else doesn't have a question.
I am a Leo sun, and yes, because we need to skip over Cancer season and get right to Leo season. I'm sorry for the Cancers out there, but y'all know y'all have fun in Leo season. This is true. I'm a set. Sorry, girl. All right, then you're safe. I'm a Sag moon. This Sag full moon just passed, and I didn't feel anything. I just got my period. So, and then, which I think it's always powerful to get your period during a full moon. And I'm a Scorpio rising, and my Mercury is in Leo, and my Venus and Mars are both in Virgo. And it's funny because I'm marrying a Virgo, so I think it fits perfectly. And I think I'm a Pluto rule person. I think Pluto is my chart ruler, so yeah. That's why I'm wearing all black.
Stephanie, you might want to help me on this, but I'm a Taurus sun. What's next? Mine is Aquarius rising and Libra moon, correct? And Venus in Aries.
Full disclosure, I totally did not get to do a reading with her yet. Yeah, we do it next. But I am a Leo. Hello. I mean, obviously.
I'm gonna miss some details, but Gemini Sun, rising Virgo, something else Earth.
Was it Taurus?
I don't know. You just said there was a lot of Earth.
Yes. Sorry, y'all, I don't memorize charts. Yeah, I am a Scorpio sun, Leo rising, Gemini moon, and Venus in Sagittarius. I have a shit ton of Sag energy, so that explains the pontificating.
I also didn't get have a reading yet, but I am a Scorpio sun and an Aquarius rising. Someone said that. And a Taurus moon. My Venus is in Libra, and my Mars is in Scorpio.
You too?
I was gonna be like, I don't have to share my entire chart on the live feed, but now I feel like I'm withholding if I don't share. Pisces Sun, Scorpio rising. Do I have to keep talking? Aquarius moon. feels like a secret. I'm really proud of it. I promise.
What's your Venus?
My Venus?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I have a weird relationship to my chart. We can talk about that later.
One more question?
Well, I have a question for y'all. What is one thing you're walking away from today? Love.
I see a lot of love on the stage, and everything is being carried out with passion.
I really like that quote that you said about how poetry is kind of like an unspoken conversation with ourselves, like this happening. You know, pay attention to yourself.
I guess from this presentation, I'm ready to like just make things happen instead of just letting them come to me because I've been waiting for so long. And good things have come to me. Like Ladybug has really worked out for me, especially this year. I don't know what it is, but like, so yeah, I'm ready. Like now that like I've kind of like received these blessings, I'm ready to like take advantage of like the position that I'm in. Like I'm in a more comfortable financial and emotional position to really make things happen for myself and the people like around me. So yeah, I'm really excited. Like seeing like this happen makes me like really want to start doing my own thing too. So you got this. Yes. Yeah.
So doing your own thing.
I feel like on that note, let's go ahead and end the program. Thank you so much.
Just some last things. Fana has a zine on sale in the back, BBB. I won't say more about it. Jasmine's book of poetry, Don't Let Them See Me Like This, and Sokunthary Svay's I'm Sorry, New York, are on sale in the back. Performances when? This?
Friday, 8 p.m. Issue Project Room. I will be there.
Love you, Lily Bo. And if you haven't gotten your ticket yet and would like a discount code, I've been granted permission by the powers that be to share that with you. All lowercase VPSS discount 2019. So if you want to check it out and get a ticket, or feel free to reach out to me after. Thank you all so much. And thanks to these artists.